Hello, welcome to Widow Too Soon. This is your host, Mark Massaro. I'm here with my friend and co-host, Michelle Bader Ebiso.
Hey.
I had
So
to, I had to mess it up.
I know, because I did even last time or the time before. I don't know. I'm always messing it up. But I want to say it's so nice, and I'm sure our listeners are so happy to hear you do the intro. It's
Oh, thanks.
really nice to have you back again, and it's just exciting to have you part of this and just to see like the miracle that's God has done. And yeah, it's great to have you
Well,
here.
thank you. Thank you so much. It's nice to be able to talk. It's one of my favorite things in the
Yes,
world. That's probably
right?
all the listeners know. Now, I feel bad because I said I'm so used to habit. I said I'm here with you. I'm also here. We are also here with the lovely, beautiful, my favorite
Woohoo!
person in the world, Tina Gillenwater. Hey, Tina.
Hey,
Hey,
Mark. Hey,
Tina.
Michelle.
we
Hey,
we
girl.
don't have to say,
Hey.
hey, Mr. Girl. Hey.
Yeah, how is
Yes.
it? You're not mystery
I
girl
kind of
anymore.
missed that actually, like listening and hearing you
Yeah.
talk about Mystery Girl. That was like kind of
She's like,
And
it
you're
cool.
feels kind
like,
of cool. Yeah.
Yeah,
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 like that's me. Nobody knows that's me. That's so cool. You guys have a
yeah.
really cool love story. That's
Mm,
awesome. So good to see
thanks.
both
Thank
of
you.
you on here.
Thank you so much. Well,
Mm,
appreciate everything that you did to hold down the fort while I was away and everything, and just thank you all you listeners for all the support and kind messages you sent. It was just really encouraging and kind. And um, if you heard the last episode that I was on, my heart is still just overflowing with gratitude and
mm,
gratefulness, not only to be alive, but just for all the support and everything. It was just such a blessing. So I'm still just on top of the world and, just kind of reeling from that. But I'm still recovering. And according to Rob, it's because I have an iPhone, not an Android.
That's why. Totally, Rob.
Yeah, I'm sure there's some cool healing apps on my iPhone that I just don't know about yet.
Mm-hmm. Can you tell the listeners? I saw a post the other day, but I don't remember exactly. You were asking for a specific prayer that like it's hard to hold on to things. Can you tell us more about that?
Yes. So I've had some strange like nerve stuff going on. Mostly, so it was my left side that was primarily damaged. Is that how you would explain it? That it was
Mm-hmm.
damaged? Okay. So yes, I drop a lot of things where my kids
Mm.
don't like me holding on to any of their stuff. They're like, "Oh, Daddy, maybe I should hold on to that." And I'm like, "All right." So just things just fall right through my hands. So that's been embarrassing, especially when I drop like a full cup of coffee or something, and like an
Mm.
employee's like, "Oh, I'll get that. Don't worry about it." And my kids are like, "My
Mm-hmm.
daddy just had a stroke." And they're like, "Well, that's okay. We all drop things." And then Luke's like, "Well, my daddy did it because he had a stroke."
Oh wow.
I was like, "Thanks, buddy." So it was funny, but yeah. So that's one of the things. But no. So I just have this weird like nerve stuff going on. So
Oh
I keep feeling like things are in my hand, and I'll like
yeah.
look down and nothing's there. It feels like
Mm-hmm.
something's in my hand. Like earlier, we were at dinner. Where were we? No, we were. I was gonna say we were having dinner,
mm.
and I thought there was like a piece of a napkin like stuck to my
Oh
finger.
yeah.
It really felt
Oh.
like a little piece of something was stuck to my finger. I also, when I was taking a shower, the water was really hot, and I put my foot in trying to get used to it, and all of a sudden my hand felt like it was burning. It was really
Oh
weird.
wow.
It's just like some weird nerve stuff going on.
Yes. It reminds me of when Luke would have phantom pain after his amputation. So he would feel like his foot that wasn't there was on
Mm,
fire or being crushed or hot or
Oh,
cold. Like, so it's something to do, it
that's
sounds
rough.
similar, something to do with nerves. Do they give you any neurotin? That was something, I think that's what's called neurotin, that
No,
helps
I
with
I thought they
nerves.
might give me like gabapentin or
Oh, that's
something,
what
and
I
I know
meant.
that's.
That's the one.
Well, I think isn't that this?
Neurontin isn't.
Let me ask
And
my
yeah, I
pharmacist.
was gonna say yeah, it's another thing for nerve pain. You're right.
Okay, I'm like, I know that, but gabapentin is what he took also. So,
Okay,
Mm,
so it's
so
probably
Lacey took
sounds
that
like
too. It's crazy.
okay.
Lacey and Luke took a lot of the same
I
medications.
know. Yeah, that is
We've
crazy.
compared that before, but so
Uh-huh.
anyways, but I need to talk to my primary care doctor. I need to go in and talk
Mm.
to him about all that and just kind of touch
Yeah.
base with him about stuff. So I'm having I still have side effects from some of the, they have me on Keppra for anti-seizure
Mm.
medication,
Mm-hmm.
and that's I've been having a lot of really weird side effects from that.
Mm.
Where Tina says she can like see a difference when I've taken it or not,
mm-hmm.
Oh
and I'm
wow.
like, well, I feel a difference, you
Yeah.
know.
There's a little more confusion, a little more
Oh,
off balance, and things like that when he's taking it.
Yeah, and
okay.
so I asked the neurosurgeon, the one who did my surgery, as part of a team, but I asked him if I could stop taking the Keppra. And he said, well, no, that's not really my place to say. You need to see your primary care physician about that. But, um, it was kind of cool. It was kind of like the way I feel like how cool it must be for Joel to say he's a pilot.
Yeah.
Like kind of the same thing because he was like, I don't really do prescriptions. He's like, I'm more of like I go in and fix it if something's wrong. I'm like, that's pretty cool, Because
Yeah.
he was a surgeon. He's the one that
Yeah.
did my my operation or whatever,
Yeah.
to put the drain tubes in, or he was part of that team or whatever. But I was just like, that is cool. I wish I could say that. He's like, I'm the one that goes in and fixes it.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
But I was like, that's like the most gangster line I've ever heard. No,
Yeah.
not really, but it
That's
sounded awesome.
And then are you going to rehab still? Like,
It starts this Wednesday.
Yeah,
All
Wednesday.
right. Yeah, this Wednesday. So it's like my outpatient
Physical
therapy
on Wednesday.
Yes.
yeah.
So I think that'll be really helpful, and I'm going to tell them about all the weird nerve stuff I'm having,
Yeah.
and they'll probably do some strengthening stuff because everything I put in my hand, it's like 50-50 whether I'm going to drop it or not. And that's been embarrassing, and it's so frustrating. When we went to we just got back from West Virginia, and I kept dropping my sunglasses, and every time I'd pick them up, I'd drop them again, and I was getting so frustrated I just wanted to smash them and just step on them, and it's very frustrating to like all of a sudden just like lose all of your motor skills, especially like I feel like I'm pretty able with my hands, and so to like try to fix something or whatever, and I just can't like do anything with my hands. It feels like something was stolen from me, kind of a thing. I don't know if that makes sense, but
It does.
so that's something I've kind of struggled with a little bit, but so anyways, yeah, so we're just pressing forward. How have things been with you?
Pretty good. So last week, so I won't go totally into it. I talked about the 4-year anniversary of Luke's death, so that was a little bit harder than usual. But I can't believe it's been 4 years. It's so crazy. Every time you pass another year, it's just unbelievable. Like it's hard
Always,
to,
I can't believe it.
yeah,
Feeling,
like
yeah.
whoa, like it's been 4 years. Well, it's 2024. That was 2020. So crazy. But mostly this week has been a lot of bittersweet stuff with Haley finishing school. So her last day was Friday, but she doesn't graduate until next Saturday. At her school, they do it where you get like a week off in between and do senior trip and stuff. So we're going to Disneyland, like in this super crazy 24-hour. We had to be at the airport on Tuesday morning, 4:30 a.m. And then we go all day at Disney. We got a park hopper. We get to go to both of the parks. And then we go to IHOP at midnight and stay there for a couple hours, then go to the airport and fly home. So there's no sleeping. So that'll be interesting.
Yeah.
But it'll be fun because I'm like, it's her last field trip ever. Like, I'm very sentimental on the end of everything. I'm like, this is her last day. It's like the last day of school. Like, I didn't need to go see her. Well, I needed to pick up Peyton, but he was ready to go home because she's going with her friends. But I waited, and she was out late. I waited like 15 minutes just to say hi to her and take a video of her walking out of school for the last time. I'm like, it's her last time. Like, everything's really bittersweet.
Is she like that too, or was she like, oh my gosh, stop?
Yeah, no, she was fine. She was recording herself and her friend walking out of high school, so it's all good.
That's
Some
cool.
of
So
you,
she got it.
yeah, some of you saw on Facebook that I gave her a tassel. You can get these. I got mine on Amazon, but you can get them anywhere that's like in remembrance. So just a little FYI as your kids graduate, if you want to do that. And I had a picture of her and Luke put in it, and she'd never seen the picture before, so she really loved it. And it says like, wishing you were here on graduation day. And then as you guys know, I think I've shared it many times that I have a voice recording for Haley to give her on graduation day. So next podcast, I'll get to talk about that. And so she actually wants to take it and put it into a Build-A-Bear. Like she wants to, you
Oh,
put a
that's
voice
super
in
cool.
it. She's like, I want to take part of that. And her and her friend want to get these graduation Build-A-Bears. And she's like, I want to put Daddy's voice in it. So
Oh, that's really smart. What a good idea.
I know, yeah. So she might do that. They're getting time capsules back this week that they made in 8th grade. And
Wow.
yeah, so 8th grade, I remember her writing it, and it was all about her dad. It was right when he was sick again, or no, right before he died. It's the year he died. And so it was like all these pictures of her and Luke at the father-daughter balls and like all this. I took pictures of literally everything she put in there. And the teacher left, and I contacted her. I'm like, you're still bringing those back, right? And she's like, yes. and it's like a letter to themselves, and it's all about how I hope my dad's here at graduation. And I knew when she wrote it that he wouldn't be unless there was a huge miracle, because it was a
Oh
couple months
wow.
before he died that she wrote it. So that's going to be interesting. It's a lot of big emotional. It was her last choir concert. She cried at that. It's just like all of these last. But we are really excited because we've got our financial aid package, and it looks like she's going to get to go to the college that she wants. We're still working on the details, but we're going ahead, with the college, the choir scholarship, all the things. So we're going forward. She'll go August 24th. So I'm really excited for her. This is a little like widow side note for people in my position.
What a
So
side note.
this is
That's a new
weird.
one.
So with the FAFSA, if you're familiar with FAFSA, if you have college age kids, Tina's like, yes, it's the financial aid offered. So what's weird about this year is they took the 22 taxes, right? The 22 taxes were what determined your financial aid. But yet I got married in 23. So they're counting Joel's income even though I wasn't married to him. So I had to talk to financial aid, because it changes things a lot, because he makes more money than me as a pilot. So I had to write them a letter and talk to them and be like, don't penalize Haley because of it, because I got married. And I'm like, I even filled out the form. It was like parent 1, and I filled out mine, and it said parent 2, and I wrote 0 deceased and sent it back. And they're like, I know that you don't want. I'm like, Joel's not her parent, so I didn't put him on the form. They're like, well, we need to see his income. It's a whole mess. And I'm like,
Oh wow.
Complicated, huh?
yeah, it's complicated. So they did give me this form that says special circumstances, and I think we're going to get more money. They said we'll know by the end of June.
Oh
So
sweet.
just know that if you get married again, it could affect your kids earlier than you think. So I thought that they would be affected the next year, the 23 taxes, but they did it different this year, which I think is kind of like penalizing my kids, because I wasn't married to Joel in 22, but they're counting his 22 taxes towards my income, towards.
Wow.
That's just crazy. Anyways, that was just a little side note.
No,
That is like
that's interesting.
a widow thing that
Yeah.
nobody really thinks
It's a widow
about.
widow thing.
It's a widow thing. And yeah, so that's mostly what our world is involved in right now. This last week is Peyton's still going to finals. And then we're going to Disneyland, and she's got things like they're doing a senior prank. Oh yeah, okay. By the time this airs, it'll already be done. They're pulling a wedding. I'm like, what's your prank? Like, if they do a prank, they're not allowed to walk. But this isn't really a prank, so they're just going to school at the end of the day and pretending like some seniors are getting married and then having a party. I was like, okay, whatever. Interesting prank. So
It's prankish.
yeah, they're doing that tomorrow, and then we have there's a senior send off barbecue on Friday that the families come to, and so it's bittersweet. Everything is bittersweet, and definitely been moments like when she's singing at her choir concert. And it was really cool. They have it's kind of like senior night for sports, but she doesn't play sports, so they do it for choir. They have the families come up at the last of the seniors at the last concert. And I asked her the night before, when they say family, do you want Joel to come? She's like, yeah, it says family, so that means him. I was like, okay.
That's
So
cool.
he
That's
came
nice.
up, and when they honored her, which was really cool. So
Did he
anyways,
sing?
did he sing? No. It was just like
Come
they
on.
had no, he's like me. He tries, but we're not singers. So anyways, all that to say, it's been a lot of bittersweet, like going to all these lasts and all these things, and just
Yeah, it's a big time.
it's a big time in her life. And now she's 18, and it's just lots of great stuff. So anyways, I could keep talking about that, but there'll be more to talk about next time after
Yeah.
graduation. And then the next week we're having her party after that, so it's kind of like drug out for several
Well, I'm
weeks.
sure it's helpful for a lot of people because I know a lot of our listeners have kids the same age as your kids, so they're probably going through this stuff too.
Yes,
It
yeah,
might
and
be neat for people to hear how you handled it and this and that and
yeah.
how it was for Haley, and maybe an idea of what their kids will be going through mentally or something. So
Yeah, and it's hard, and they do like a slideshow, and the picture that we turned in is of her and Luke that they're going to do at graduation. And I'm already prepared that I went through this with Hayden, and it was hard. So I already know it's going to be emotional, and really, I think really emotional for Haley personally, just because she had a really close relationship with Luke.
yeah,
And so, yeah, but I do. It's not in the Bible. We've talked about this. I believe that God lets our loved ones see the happy moments. Like I believe they can. So I think he saw her singing. I think he's seen lots of these happy moments and
Well, I think
graduation.
so too, and the reason I think that is where it says in the Bible that all the saints in heaven rejoice when somebody gets saved or something to
True.
that effect.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And that's what makes me think that people in heaven are very aware of what's going on earth.
Yeah.
How else would they know that someone was saved if they didn't know what was going on?
Right.
And I'm probably
Absolutely.
mixing some of that up, but anyways, it's something like that is where I
Mm-hmm.
heard pastor giving a sermon on, and the sermon was, "Do people in heaven know what's going on earth?"
Mm-hmm.
And that was kind of the verse that he used to support his thought that they definitely are aware.
Yeah.
And I've just always gone by we can ask anything in
Yep.
Jesus' name. And that's kind of where I've always gone, that I'm like, I'm going to ask in Jesus' name
Yeah.
for him to tell Lacey what's going on with us and give her messages from us. And I've taught
Yep.
my kids to do the same thing, and I don't think there's anything anti-biblical about that.
No, not at all. I think
And
of
I know
the
it's helped them to feel like they can talk to mommy sometimes.
Yeah, I think it's great. I've always thought of the verse too, since we're surrounded by a great cloud of witnesses. So it was actually when I
Hmm.
went through this program, they talked about great cloud of witnesses were like your people in heaven cheering you on. I actually wrote about it in my fiction book about the great cloud of witnesses being like people in your life that are cheering you on from heaven, that can see the
Oh,
things, you
wow.
know. So I don't know if that's biblical either,
That's
if great
cool.
cloud of witnesses means that, but I
I'm
like
sure
to
there's
think
some
so.
scholars that are just screaming at us right now.
You're like, you don't know. Yeah, but that's what I think. And I also
That's not
like,
what that means.
I like to also think about all of us who've lost spouses that our spouses are all friends, like, and
I've thought
hanging
about
out
that.
in heaven,
I
right?
pictured John and Lacey being friends in
Yeah.
heaven for
Yeah.
sure.
I think it's a
I've pictured
really,
that quite a few times.
yeah, a really cool thought.
Hey,
Um,
our spouses are together. I'm like, that'd be cool.
yeah, like I think it's a great thought. I mean, why not? Why not think that? Anyways,
Yeah,
all
Mhm.
yeah.
right, so let's talk about like why Tina's here. Like, what's going on with you guys? You casually mentioned, which I know a lot of people want to know more about. In the last episode, you said, "Oh, and we're engaged." So tell us more about that.
Yes. Well, Rob was asking me what took so long, and he said since it took me a year to tell you guys that he's going to wait a year to congratulate me.
Oh, funny,
Yeah, he's funny.
funny.
He always cracks me up. So, anyways, yes, I have wanted to shout from the rooftops for so long that Tina and I are engaged, and it was something we had to kind of keep under wraps for a while, just some stuff going on. So it's really great to be able to talk about it now, and we actually in the hospital, I just couldn't help it. Just seeing the way she cared for me and like advocated for me and looked out for me, I said I don't want to be apart anymore. Like, so I hope if you're
Mhm.
okay with it, when I get out of here, I want to list my house for sale and
Mhm.
find a house in West Virginia and be closer to you. And it's because it's one of those things where we were like we'd see each other for like 4 or 5 days, 3 to 5 days or something, and then she'd go home for a month, and it'd be a month until I'd see her again. And I was like, I don't want to live life alone anymore. I want to start our lives together, and we're engaged. Like, let's just let's move forward. And um, so the big news is I listed my house for sale in Tennessee, and have an offer on it. So we're on contract in this house, and then Tina and I are buying a house together in West Virginia.
That's
We
so
found an awesome
awesome.
house. We're in contract on that house too. So we're probably going to do like just like get married and then do
Mhm.
like a reception or something, like a big party where all of our friends and family and stuff come, something like that. And so the wedding itself will probably not be like the big celebration. I don't know. We don't know exactly what we're gonna do
Yeah,
yet, but
it's
we're both kind
exciting.
of quiet people.
Yeah,
I know nobody that listens to this would believe that that's me, but so we're super excited. And I just
that's
wanted to
exciting.
announce that we were engaged and that we are both super excited to get married. Well, I shouldn't speak for her. I'm super
Yes,
excited to
I'm
get
very
married.
excited to get
Okay.
married.
That's
She's so excited.
oh,
And we thought we may have more time to plan things out, but things have moved pretty quickly since
yeah.
everything has happened. And it last week when we were in West Virginia, we just decided to look for a few houses. We didn't really expect just yet to put an offer in, but we fell in love with a house, and
Wow.
and went to see it a second time before we came back from Tennessee, and we just loved it. The kids loved it. And then
Which is obviously critical because they're spending all
Yeah.
the money, right?
Yeah.
Kids gotta love
the
it.
kids, yeah, yeah, that's funny. But
Can
yeah, so and then his house went on the market Friday, open house yesterday, and already had an offer. So
So
things are just
awesome.
moving really quickly. So we're like, we've got to get married.
Yeah.
So we're
That's
trying to figure
so
that out.
awesome. Can you back it up and tell us about the proposal? I know, like, especially the women always have questions about that. Can you? I
Yes.
don't even remember. It's been in a while, so I don't remember
Yeah,
this.
it has been a while. I remember telling you that I was
Yeah, I
going to
know you
propose to
told
her, and
me.
you were all
Yes.
excited. So, I called her mom, I called her daughter, and I just called everybody that I felt like I should call and kind of, because, sorry if I'm sharing your information. Her dad, she lost her dad.
Mm,
Her dad passed away. And so obviously I didn't have her father to call and
Right.
ask to have her hand in marriage. And so I felt like, well, I should call her mom. I should call her daughter. And her daughter's so nice. She said, "Do you want me to ask Logan for you?" Logan's her son. And I was
mm.
like, "Oh, that'd be awesome." And I'm like, "Is that weird? Or am I being like a coward?" And she's like, "No, no, no. I'd love to handle that for you." And I was like, "I would love for you to handle that for me."
Yeah.
So she texted me and said, Logan said, "Haha, cool." And I was like, "Awesome. All right. Well, I guess that means I got his approval too." And
Uh-huh.
so I told Tina she had gotten back. Where were you? A conference or something?
Yeah, it was a conference with church.
Yeah, she stopped by here on the way back from a conference, and I planned with my neighbors. My neighbors watched the kids for us, and so we could have like a date night. And we went out to this nice Italian restaurant, and I had written her a letter during the day that I was going to read to her after dinner. And so I did call her mom and everybody, and then I told Tina because I was afraid she was getting kind of suspicious. And so I said, hey, oh my gosh, I just had like almost like a panic attack. And she's like, why, what's going on? I'm like, I just realized that like I'm gonna need to like call your mom and everybody when it comes time to like propose and like ask for to have your hand in marriage again.
Ooh.
And I remember doing that for Lacey. It was like so scary, and just the thought of that just kind of gave me some anxiety. And she's like, okay, so she's like, okay, it's not coming.
It really threw me off.
Yeah, that was good.
I was pretty proud of that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But when I bought her ring, they put it in this massive box. It was
Hmm.
huge. And I'm like, I can't hide this in my pocket. I'm like, do you have anything smaller? And I'm like, she's gonna see this and she's gonna know. And
Yeah.
they were like, no, that's the only size box we have. And so I had to go on like a mission to go
Fine.
find like a smaller box. I had to buy some like cheap earrings from like I think it was Belk or TJ Maxx or something like that. That I said, can I buy just one of the boxes? And she said, if you buy like a pair of earrings or something, I can give you a box. And I said, okay. So I went and picked
Nice.
out a pair of earrings for Tina that I thought she'd like.
Nice.
And so yeah, anyways, we went out to dinner, and I was gonna have the waitress read the letter to Tina for me and let Tina figure out that obviously the wait I had some ideas of I'd ask the waitress to like read it to us, or the waiter or whatever. Um, that maybe, hey, I'm working on this project for school. Would you guys critique it or something like that? And then I was just gonna wait until Tina figured out that the letter was from me.
Oh,
um, and I knew she would have because it was a very personalized letter. But I scrapped that plan because I know Tina's a very private person,
Hmm.
and she
Kind
wouldn't
of
have.
shy.
Because I was gonna, yeah, a little shy. So I was planning to
uh-huh.
like get on my knee in the middle of the restaurant,
Yeah.
and but I was like, oh, if people see it, they're gonna like clap, and then I know Tina's just gonna get all embarrassed, and I want this to be something that is a proposal for her.
Yeah.
Um,
It's
and
good.
so, anyways, so I asked after dinner. I said, "Hey, I'm kind of full. Would you mind like going for a walk?" And she's like, "No, that'd be great." So we went for a walk, and we went down to like there was like this like park down the street, and it's in it doesn't matter. Nobody knows this area, but there's a in the middle of this like river. There's a fountain that shoots up, and it's like really pretty, and there's like ducks and stuff, and so I just asked her. I was like, "Hey, can we sit down here for a minute?" And we sat down at the bench, and I said, "Hey, I wrote a letter for you. Are you okay if I read it?" And she said, "Yeah." And so I read her the letter. And about halfway through, I said, "So I wanted to ask you." And I got down on my knee
Aw.
and, asked her if she'd marry me and showed her the ring, which I'm very proud of.
Hmm.
It's a beautiful ring.
Yeah.
Yes.
And she said yes, obviously. And she said, "Oh, I gotta call Alyssa. That's her daughter." And I was like, "She already knows." And she's like, what? I'm like, yeah, everybody knows. Everybody
Hmm.
knows except you.
Yeah, he actually messaged all of my siblings on Facebook too, so they
Oh,
knew before me.
wow. That's
Yeah.
Yeah, so I was like,
awesome.
please don't say anything. So,
Hmm.
anyways, yeah, it was. She said it was perfect. I was happy to hear that because a lot of planning went into it from my part.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And I was just everything just went to plan. It was awesome. I mean, there obviously wasn't some huge elaborate. I didn't have a band come jumping out of the bushes or anything like with their trumpets, but according to my simple plan, everything went perfect.
Good. Oh,
It
that's
was
so
perfect.
beautiful.
Yeah.
That's
Thank you.
awesome. Very good job. That's
Thank you.
exciting.
So yeah, we've been really really thrilled about that, and just my kids are like they were so excited. So when we got back, they were like, "Did you do it?" I'm like, "I did." And she's like, "What'd she say?" I'm
Oh.
like, "She said yes. I told you she'd say
Hmm.
yes."
We're
Like
like worried.
they were like, "So she's gonna be our mommy?" I'm like, "She is gonna be your mommy." It
Oh.
was really sweet. They're so excited about that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're very sweet.
Yeah,
Luke
they
thought I
adore
was
her.
gonna like move in though right
Yeah,
away.
he's like, "So are you our mommy now?" And we're like, "No, not
We're
yet, buddy.
not
That's not
moving
how that
yet.
works."
Yeah, it was really
You gotta
cute.
wait a little bit. He's like, "Well, when is she gonna
Mm,
be our mommy?" And it's gonna take a little time, buddy. We have to like
mm,
plan a wedding and stuff. But you'll
mm-hmm,
know, when
mm-hmm,
you're at the wedding and you see that we get married, then you'll know she's your mommy
mm-hmm.
from that point forward.
Wow, that's sweet. And um, how do you feel about like I think that's so beautiful, but I just want to know, Mark, from your perspective, like saying like Tina's the mommy, like how does that bring up grief? I guess is what I'm trying to say. Like,
Things like that for me have in the past, not with Tina, but just,
yeah.
I shared on here that I dated another girl a long time ago. And when I would see her with the kids, sometimes it caused me grief because I was like,
Mm-hmm.
this is Lacey's role. I've
Mm-hmm.
never had that feeling with Tina. And she's,
Mm-hmm.
she's so great with them
Yeah.
that it just doesn't bring up any of that stuff. And I see the way that they are with her and how
Mm.
happy they are with her. And
Yeah.
it's just like, they need this.
Yeah.
And
It
she's
kind of
so great
reminds
to them.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of like when you get married again and your heart expands, like they will always know they have two mommies, like one in heaven and
Yeah.
Yes.
one here,
Yeah.
and their heart
Yes.
can expand
That's a great way to say
to
it.
Hmm.
love too. It's
Yeah.
Yes.
just such a different experience. And I know Tina, you have older kids, so you know too. Like older kids are not like that. Like my kids are like, I'm never
No,
gonna
it's
call him
totally different.
dad, and never, and I've never wanted them to. It's just so different with young
Hmm.
ones versus older. But I think
Yeah.
Yeah, because they're
that's
not done
so.
having a mommy. The little ones, they're
Right.
not. They still really, really want a mommy.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And yeah, and I'm not replacing their mommy, but
Right.
Right.
yeah, I'm doing the mommy role.
Yeah.
And I think the really healthy thing for all of our kids is that we talk
Yes.
about mommy, we talk about John, and
Yeah.
with my kids, we're always bringing them up. So I think it's just always remembering them, but it is totally different with the older kids. It's
Hmm.
more, maybe Mark will be more kind of, for Logan, I think like a buddy. I
Yeah.
think Alyssa does kind of want a little bit of the father figure, but she's also, it's tough sometimes because she
Yes.
just, it sometimes almost feels like a betrayal, I think, for
Yeah.
older
Mhm.
kids if they
Hmm.
were to do that. So, but she's definitely, I feel like just since Mark's stroke, we've seen a difference, and she felt like she had missed some opportunities to get to know him a little better
Mm.
just because of
Hmm.
some of her grief stuff and maybe kind of
Right.
being a little distant. So
Yeah.
it's been sweet to see her, like her and him interacting
It's
more.
been
And
really sweet to me too.
Yeah.
Like Tina shared that
yeah.
she said some of that stuff when I was at the hospital, and
Hmm.
I just, told her. I said, "Gosh, like your mom told me some of the things you said about, wanting to get to know me and stuff like that, and I just want you to know that like really means a lot to me, and
Mm.
I want that too." And so we just had like like a neat bonding. I felt like, and
Yeah.
she's like, "I was really, really worried about you," and she was like, told me she was
Mm.
like weeping, like was like
Mm.
afraid that something was going to happen to me, and her mom was going to have to watch another man in her life die, and that she was like really afraid for that. And but it was sweet. She told me that yeah, she did want that she has like wondered if she kind of missed an opportunity to get to know me, but it's been hard. She said it. She's like, it's been hard. I miss my dad.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, I get
Right.
it.
Hmm.
And you don't have to. I don't have expectations of you to like you know expect me to be your dad or anything. I don't expect. I want to be whatever they want me to be. I've said that on here
Right.
before. I want to be
Yep.
whatever they want me to be. And so with Logan, her son, we're both into cars. And
Hmm.
so that's been fun. We've had a lot of neat conversations just talking, guy stuff, whatever,
Yeah.
like performance cars and this and that. And I've told him about some of the like little race cars I've had in the past, and just we've bonded over stuff like that, and which cars are fast, and oh, have you seen this car? Have you seen that? Just I don't know, just guy talk, I guess you'd say. But
Mm-hmm.
so I really felt for me like that was a lot of what helped me. It was very helpful to me in this condition I was in with my stroke and everything to
Yeah.
hear um, Tina telling me that her daughter was saying these things about me, and that she was worried about me, and it was just like it just made me want to fight. And a
Mm.
lot of things did, a lot of things gave me that feeling. But
Yeah.
it was just like, oh my gosh, like that just means so much to me.
Yeah.
Because I've always said like I really want a relationship with them. I
Mm-hmm.
really want to be like anything they need me to be. And
Right.
I feel like Christ has given me a heart for them, like a big heart for them. As soon as I started seeing Tina, it was like
Yeah.
I just really cared about her kids, and just like what they've been through, and just wanted to be very respectful and caring towards them, and I've just wanted to love them. I've like really really wanted to love them. And it was actually really sweet that we actually told each other that we loved each other for the first time during this visit, because she said
Mm.
she was getting off the phone. We were on the car phone. We were all kind of talking, and she
Mm-hmm.
said, "All right, well, I'm gonna go or whatever." And she said, "Love you," and she said, "I'm talking to you too, Mark." And it was like, oh my
Oh,
gosh.
It was really
so
sweet.
sweet.
Yeah, she
Yeah.
got off the phone. I'm like, do you have a tissue?
Mhm.
Yeah.
It was really
That
sweet. It was really
is
meaningful. And it just like, I know that
Mhm.
takes a lot of courage to say that.
right. Yeah, that's
So,
definitely.
anyways, I think God has really like set all this into place. Like everything that's happened, even the stroke, I feel like it was allowed to happen because for me, when I saw the way Tina treated me, I just wanted to run so much closer to her, and I was already crazy about her. I mean, I was already
Right.
engaged to her, but it was like, oh my gosh, like you don't let somebody like this slip away or what, I mean, not that we were like talking about not being together or anything, but
Right.
just like I need to like make this official,
Yeah.
it was just this overwhelming feeling of like, wow, like
Mm-hmm.
she's amazing. Like I know how hard it is to be a caregiver.
Mm-hmm.
I know how hard it is, and she was just awesome. She just advocated for me, and one of the sweetest things was my friend Jeremy. He's my best friend. He
Mm-hmm.
came and he sent me this picture and said, "Hey, I wanted you to see this. Tina doesn't know I took this picture, but and it was her like all snuggled up on me with this contentment look on her face, and I had all these tubes coming out of my face, and all these tubes coming out of my brain, and I don't know, it was just crazy, and just seeing the look on her face as she was hugging me, because didn't you say that was the first time you got to hug me?
Yeah.
And
Mm-hmm.
she looked so happy, and my best friend said watching her love you and take care of you is one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen.
Mm.
And it was
Wow.
just like wow. And he said, I thought you might want to see this. And I was like, yeah, I mean, gosh, if a picture was worth 1,000 words, kind of a thing.
Yeah.
And it was just this overwhelming feeling for me of like, gosh, I am so done doing life alone,
Yeah.
Mhm.
so done not doing life with her,
Yep.
and it's in my power to change this.
Yeah.
Yeah. And for me, I felt the same sense of urgency just because, like, oh my goodness, like, it felt like we had been kind of putting it off from things that I had going on, but it was like, oh my goodness, like, I'm about to lose somebody else that I love so
Mm.
much. And it's like, as soon as he said that he was gonna, put his house on the market, I'm like, yes, yes, like, we've got to do this. And
Mm-hmm.
it brought up, it was fear and grief and all the things like kept coming back because I didn't get to say goodbye to my husband,
Right.
um, because it was sudden. And so it was so weird in a weird way. Once he started waking up and we started having conversations, I felt almost like I was getting this second chance to kind of
Wow.
like, it sounds weird to
No,
connect
it
the
makes
two,
No, I think
but
anybody listening understands.
it brought up this grief, but then it was almost like this gratefulness of like, oh, like I need to let him know how much he means to me. I
Mm-hmm.
need to take care of him and do those things. But it was odd, the grief and all the things that brought up at that time too.
Yeah, it would.
Yeah, I
I'm
mean, I
sure.
didn't, I didn't take any offense to that. I felt bad for you because I understood what you were saying. It was
Yeah.
like, of course, like you didn't get this with John. You didn't get to go be by his side in the hospital.
Right.
Mhm.
So there's, you just weren't able to.
Yeah.
And so of course that brought up some grief.
Right. And actually, I think
So
the listeners would love to hear if you want to share like a little bit about what this, we heard Mark's story last time, but what was this like for you? Just I can only, as people say, I can only imagine, but seriously, already being widowed and then being in your position, like, I mean, like what did that feel like for you? Like what was it like? I guess that's kind of a big
It
question, but
it felt it brought back all the things because when I called him that morning and then I figured out what was going on. And then I was at work. So I work at my church, and I went downstairs to call him because I was really concerned that he hadn't called me and all the things.
yeah.
And then when I had to call 911, I went upstairs to my office, and the girl that was in there, I was like, I think Mark has had a stroke. I've got to call 911. And she's like, oh my goodness. So we were supposed to have a staff meeting that morning. And so she ended up going over and telling the pastor and everybody over there kind of what was going on. And a couple of the other girls came over. And then I had called and got everything going, like with the ambulance coming here to get him. He was on his way to the hospital. And then my pastor came over, and he was actually one of the first ones that came to the hospital the night John died.
Oh,
So he walked
wow.
in, and I just saw the tears in his eyes, and he was like, oh, girl, like what's happening, and so we're just crying. And but I have such a good support system. So they were all like hugging me and like, okay, like we need to figure out how to get you there. You can't drive. You can't, you're too upset to drive yourself. So they're like, do you have anyone that can take you? So I called my sister, told her what was going on. And I said, is there any way you can drive me to Tennessee today? And so she went to her boss immediately and told her what was going on. And she gave her pretty much the rest of the week off. And she was at my house within an hour. I threw some clothes in a suitcase and we were on our way. But I was so afraid. I mean, they
Oh, yeah.
basically told me that, they didn't know. They couldn't give me a prognosis of, they were going to do the drain and hope that that helped with the pressure and the blood and all of the things. And
I
it
was in the
just,
ICU at that point, right?
yes, you were on your way to the other hospital when I was on my way. And then um, while I was on my way is when they actually put the tube in to drain everything. But I felt like I was in shock. So it was
Yeah.
like I couldn't believe it was real again. Like, oh my gosh, like I felt the way I felt the night of my husband's accident. Like it
Yeah.
was just like, and my sister was with me the night of my husband's accident.
Oh,
She's the one
wow.
that called. And so it was like we were both just like crying and like trying to, okay, here's what we need to do. We need to call this person. So I called his best friend. I actually texted Jeremy first and said, hey, can you call me? Or yeah, I said, can you call? And he said, is everything okay? And I just sent back, no, it's, so I kind of gave him a little bit of information and then he called me. And so it was just a ton of anxiety and just like,
Yeah.
I don't know, I just had to get there. And so it was,
Well, I would imagine, did you kind of, I'm sorry to butt in, but
that's okay.
did you kind of have like a feeling that like, I already know how this story ends?
Yes, I didn't think he was gonna make it, to be honest.
Oh, wow.
That's what I would imagine I would feel.
Especially when they told me that they had to put him on a ventilator after the surgery and then when I first arrived to the hospital, the neurosurgical team came in and they were giving me information and I was like, do you know, what's it looking like? Like, do you know how, if he's going to survive all that? And they were like, it's too early to tell. Like, we can't give a prognosis yet. And they said, this really bothered me because I'm like, I don't think they should have said this to me, but they basically said if he's going to die, it'll happen within the first week. And so
Wow.
I was just like, oh my gosh.
Why would you tell me that? You have no idea what I've been through in the past.
Yeah, that's horrible.
So the first few days, and then I explained this to Mark, it was really hard the second day with the kids because I think my sister had to bring Luke back in the house for something. We were all leaving. I don't know if it was to take them to school or just running errands, but Alexis, I said, do you have any questions for me about your daddy? And she said, is my daddy going to die? And I was like, Oh, and so I didn't know at that point. I still didn't know, but I told her no. I said, but then I'm like, oh gosh, what if he does? And then I have to tell her that I said he wasn't going to. So I was trying to help her, and I could see it did ease her mind some. And I said, but he's going to be in the hospital for quite a while, and he's going to have some recovery. And but that just broke my heart, and I did not know how to answer that question.
So
You did
hard.
the right thing.
Yeah.
It broke my heart to hear when she told me that. It's just like, oh, this poor girl, like she hasn't been through enough already, you know?
But
It's sad.
yeah, but just like Mark said, the support has been crazy amazing. Like his neighbor, one of his neighbors came over today, and we've messaged, but I hadn't talked to her. But the neighbors that live right on the street, they came down. One of them even planned Luke's birthday party.
Yes.
Wow.
Because Mark had all of the everything here for it, and I couldn't be here because I had to be in West Virginia. So they threw him a birthday party. And then, so we had people in West Virginia praying. We had, people here,
People in
California,
California.
everybody here from Widowed Too Soon. It just, we didn't feel alone. I didn't feel alone. I know
I did
Mark
several times, but that's
he was
different.
very confused and in the hospital
Right.
alone a lot by
I was on the
himself.
50-yard line, though.
That's true. You
Right.
did tell us that.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah,
Wow.
so it's
That's
been a very tough 2 months. But
I felt so bad for her when I heard about everything, and I read she let me read some of the text conversations with some of my neighbors, and just certain people, and it was, my gosh, I was like, I'm so sorry. Like, I can't imagine, I know how hard it was going through all that with Lacey. I can't imagine, like, going through that again.
right.
And I remember that was the first thing I thought is I was like, you must have been positive that I was going to die. You've seen this movie before. You know how it ends. And that's just how it felt like it would be from my perspective. As I was like, gosh, you poor thing. Like, you must have been absolutely certain that I wasn't going to make it. And I just more than anything, I just felt so bad for her. I know what she's been through, you know.
Right.
And I know what a lot of people in this community have been through, but like knowing Tina's story so intimately and knowing Tina
Right.
so intimately, it was like
Right.
my heart just broke for her that she had to go through this, and I was like so blown away by how much courage she faced it with,
Mm-hmm.
and how much she just went to bat for me. I mean, she
Yeah.
advocated so hard for me.
Yeah.
She made sure I was getting everything I was supposed to get, and that everybody was doing all the things they were supposed to do, and
Yep.
it was just like I said. I was like, I'm done living this separate. I'm done just being engaged. I want to be your husband. I want you to be my wife.
Yeah.
I don't want to wait anymore.
Right. Life
And
is
she's
too
like,
short.
okay. And I'm like,
yes,
okay.
that's exactly it.
Yeah.
We all know that it's definitely too short.
Yeah, we're not promised tomorrow by any
No.
means.
And just because we've been widowed once doesn't mean we won't be widowed again.
Right. I
Like
mean,
we
look at
aren't.
Stacy.
Right. Yeah. And
We
then
all remember
there's
Stacy.
yeah, and there's been other listeners who've told me they've been widowed twice. In fact, there's someone I need to get back to. I think it was a guy who said he's been widowed twice. Yep. And he wants to come be a guest. So we definitely need to
Oh wow.
interview
Yeah,
him.
that'd be great.
Because because we think, well, we've already been through something hard. God wouldn't let something else happen. Well, that's not true,
Well, and
And
it's crazy, because we've all been what we've been or been through what we've been through. Like we've all lost a spouse, and it's you don't know the strength that you have until
Right.
you go through something like that. Because
Yeah.
and then I know you guys have talked about it before. Like when people say, "Well, how could you do?
You're so strong.
You're so
Oh, you're so
strong."
strong.
Yeah, and it's like, what other option do I have?
Yeah.
Right.
Um, but it is, we definitely, I know I felt God sustaining me and the whole time. Like it
Yeah,
was
big time.
just, I had some really hard things going on in West Virginia at the same time. And so being here, but I felt God's presence the whole time. It was so crazy. Like I was afraid and all the things, but I'm like, God's got me. And like
Awesome.
at some point, you have to have the eternal perspective because. Even as we do get remarried, we'll probably end up widowed again at some point,
I hate
and
that,
that's
but
scary. Like, we don't want to think about that, but if God's faithful and He's with us, wherever we are and through all the things that we have to face while we're still here.
Yes, absolutely. I got so many encouraging comments because I posted some fears that I've had,
Mm.
and just asking for prayers and stuff like that. And a
Yeah.
lot of the comments were just so encouraging, and like, you gotta keep your faith, and don't let Satan steal your joy. Because it was in the same post I was talking about how thankful I was for Tina and everything, and then but I was like, but it's so I've had the weirdest thing is that like I go to sleep at night and I get terrified that
Oh.
like I'm gonna wake up somewhere else. I'm gonna wake up in the
Oh,
hospital again,
wow.
and it's hard to like want to go to sleep because that's all that happened last time. I went to sleep and I woke
Yeah.
up and I was like, where the heck am I?
Yeah.
What's going on? And I didn't know. And it's funny. Tina told me that like I was like, one of the funny things was I was like I kept filling her in on things. I was like, honey, I had a stroke, and she's like, I know. I'm like, I almost died, and she's like, I know. I'm like, it's crazy. And she's like, I
Yeah.
know. I got you here.
Mm-hmm.
It was
Mm.
awesome. But yeah, just hearing all that stuff was like such a crack up to me. But it's
Yeah.
just it is really amazing. Like Tina said, you can feel God's presence in these situations, and
Right. It's
we
kind
are
of
never alone. And
right. Like the
so,
poem.
like, I remember you asked me on
Oh,
the
go ahead.
last episode,
Hmm.
like, how I felt about like when you said you were praying that, like, God, he's already been through so much. Like, don't, you know what I mean? Like, his kids have already been through so much and all that. And there was a part of me that, like, kind of felt some of that stuff. Like, there's no way he's gonna, like, let me die from this or whatever. That's just not gonna happen. And it was like this realization said, and this happens to a lot of people. Like, there's nothing special about me why this wouldn't happen to me, you know. And so, anyways, I've had these really odd fears, and I just got all these encouraging messages or responses or whatever. That like, remember God's in control of your life. God's writing the plan for your life.
Right.
Don't let Satan steal your joy, and don't be afraid. Be of
Mm-hmm.
courage. Be of good. What is it? Be of courage. How do you say it?
Be
I
strong.
don't
No,
know.
Be
it's.
courage. Something like that.
I think isn't it right here? Be strong, be brave, be fearless. You are never alone.
Mm.
I thought there was one with the word
There
courage
is
in it.
something about courage. Be strong and of good courage. Maybe. I don't
Be
know.
strong and
Yeah,
courageous, for the Lord will
Oh,
your God will
that's a
go
good
with
one
you wherever.
too.
Yeah, isn't
Yeah.
that Joshua 1:9?
I don't know. Is it up
That's
there?
well,
Oh, that's the
Joshua
one. Be
one
strong,
nine.
be brave, be fearless. You are never alone.
Yeah, that's a
It's
different
good.
version than what I learned. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good. That's good.
Anyways, so yeah, it was a pretty wild experience, but man, you just those things that happen where you just feel God
Yeah.
just ignite your soul for him. We went to church the first Sunday after I got out, and I was just like weeping during worship,
Mm, I'm sure.
and during some of the messages, and just hearing like some of the words in the songs were just really. And I remember one of them. I don't remember what song it was, but I asked Tina. I said, "Hey, the next time I'm like afraid, will you please like play me this song?"
Mm.
Because just listening to it on the screen in worship, what song was it?
I'm trying to
Oh, sorry.
remember the name of it. Let's
So
see. It
good.
was I've listened to it a few times, but I can't remember because I downloaded it.
Okay.
Songs.
Um.
Oh wait, it's on YouTube
Okay. Nice.
because I watched it. Sorry, you can
That's
talk
all
and
that
I'll
good.
find
YouTube.
it.
Anyway,
Talk and I'll
thank
find
you.
it.
Yeah, but it just felt like so awesome to be in church and like listening to worship, and
I'm
there's
sure.
definitely been times where I've heard worship songs and it's made me emotional,
Yeah.
but nothing like that. Like when I
The
oh,
battle
it's Phil
belongs.
Wickham, "The Battle Belongs to the Lord,"
Oh, that's a
or
good
It's
is
one.
it
just
just "The
Yeah.
got
Battle
yeah,
Belongs"?
yeah.
I was just like, well, and it said, what was one of the verses? It said like, "When I'm afraid, I'll cast my fears at your feet," or something like that. The
Yeah.
battle belongs to the Lord. And I was like, oh my gosh, please play this for me next time I'm afraid.
Mm-hmm.
Like I just feel like this will like light a fire inside of me.
Mm-hmm.
Because I've seen so many times in my life God has shown up,
Mm-hmm.
and it's just like I don't need to be afraid. Like God's obviously got me, and no
Right.
matter how many times Satan has tried to take me down, which I feel like is a lot.
Yeah.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
God's always been there to lift me back up, and
Mm-hmm.
it's just so powerful. So, anyways, that's what we
Good.
wanted to come on here for to
Yeah.
tell
No, it's
everybody
so
that
good. It's just so good again to see again a miracle. like even more than last time. Like you're improving even more, and just to see where God has taken you, and just like the house thing, like just everything is just amazing. This
Thank you.
miracle. Like it's still,
Thank
I
you
said
so
it last
much.
time, but I saw you, like maybe like a month and a half ago now, or whenever that was, and then
Yeah.
like in the hospital, not able to get up, talking about being in the Coliseum, not the Coliseum, the 50-yard line, like
Stadium.
the
Yeah.
Yeah.
stadium, all the things, and that the ceiling opened up, and here we are, and you're doing
Yeah.
so amazing. You're
And I
about to
know
get,
what my name is, and I know that I am not staying in a condo on the 50-yard line.
yes, yes, you
The
did.
people bring me food from the roof.
And
Yes, I
he's
do.
walking on his own, like
So
everywhere
amazing.
now.
That's
Yeah.
Praise
awesome.
God.
And
Yeah, I
you're
don't have any
about,
more alarms on my bed.
oh
I
yeah,
can get
that
out of bed and go to the bathroom whenever I want.
nice.
Nobody
That is
yells at me for getting out of bed anymore. It's
That
fantastic.
is awesome. And you're about to get married to an amazing woman. Like, you guys have such
Yes.
an
Thank you.
inspirational love story. And beyond that, just like both of you, who you are is amazing. And then it's like
Thank
God
you.
took these two amazing people and put them together. And it's like, I know that you guys are going to do some amazing, like, ministry. I don't know what it is, but I can see it. Like, the two of you together, because you can really
Oh, yeah.
minister to widows and widowers together as a
Mhm.
married couple. Like, that's such a cool dynamic. So I'm really
Yeah. Thank you.
excited to see where God takes you. And like, I just feel like there's just so much more that God's going to have you guys do. And it's going to
Thank
be
you. Well, that's the
exciting.
plan. We both really have a heart for helping people and
Yeah.
helping people that have been through hard situations. And I even thought about that. I was like, gosh, like it would be so neat to go visit people at
Yes.
trauma centers that have like had a stroke
Oh,
because
yeah.
it is so scary.
I'm sure.
It is so scary. And I was like, I just thought about like my heart would just pour out to them and tell them like, hey, I recovered from this. You can do it too. You just got to work hard for it or something.
Yeah.
I don't know. It
Do you
might be
know?
like a ministry around widows,
Yeah.
widowers, whatever, the widowed.
The widowed. I don't think I mentioned this before, but my mom had a stroke about 5 years ago.
Wow.
And I can't remember because we were talking about yours, and but hers was a different kind.
Hers was
Um,
the clot,
I think
Ischemic or something.
I don't
ischemic.
remember, but it was different. But the only thing that's left now is like the one of her sides of her mouth. When she smiles, it's not as much. But she was
Uh,
able to recover. It was a miracle for her too, like total miracle.
Mm.
But she recovered right away. And so it's just I've seen now two stroke miracles, and it's
wow.
Wow.
absolutely amazing. Just she was telling me like the same things that you had said because I was asking her more about it after your stroke
Uh,
about how she had to have someone come to her house and she had to bake cookies. Or was that you that said cookies? Did you say cookies? No, you didn't say cookies. She said
I
cookies.
don't think I said
Yeah,
cookies.
no, it wasn't you. So I was like, one of you said that you had to bake cookies. We're
I
probably
wish
more
I knew how to
likely
bake
it was
cookies.
her. Anyways, that she had to bake cookies for the person. She had to show her she could do all these things around the house. And like, I was like, oh, that's
Mm,
so interesting. But it is, like God has, it's hard to understand. Why do some people get healed? Some people don't. I don't
right.
know. I don't know. And that's really hard for my kids. Little side note, Hayden's training for this job, and the guy that he went out with, they went to somebody's door, and the lady was blind. And then I guess after they talked to her, he was like, "We should come back and pray for her, and she'll be healed." And then Hayden was like, "Well, not everyone's healed." And he goes, "Yes, she will be healed. You have to believe it." And like,
Oh
and
God.
then
Wow.
when Hayden said again, he didn't know Hayden's story at all. He's like, not everyone gets healed. And he goes, well, then there's something in there. It's an issue with them. It's like a sin issue. Or a faith issue. I was so mad. I was like,
Oh
Wow.
mm-mm.
yeah.
Because someone
I've
told
heard
me
stuff
that.
like that, and I'm like,
Me
Yes.
too.
dude,
I
don't
hear that.
even, don't
I had a
even.
lady tell me, tell your kids he's gonna be that Luke's gonna be healed, and I'm like, I had a friend who just died of cancer, and she's like, she must have had a sin issue. I was like, oh my gosh, like no, that's not how it
That's
works. It
That
makes me
stuff is
so
maddening.
angry, so
yes.
Yes.
angry. Anyways, that was
Yes.
just a little side note about like not everybody gets healed, and we don't understand it. Like they do, they get healed in heaven. I think that's what Hayden said to him. Sometimes they get healed in heaven. He was like, no, they get healed here unless there's something wrong or something like that. And I was like, this
Yeah,
Mm.
kid
I
has
had
no idea
people
what he's
saying
talking about.
stuff like that. They said if she's not healed, it's because your faith isn't strong enough.
So
I'm
dumb.
like, dude, don't even. Do you have faith that it? Never mind. I was gonna make a
Yeah.
dumb joke.
Yeah,
Um,
it's just
it makes you want to like punch them sometimes when you're in like the middle of all that, like and you have all that intense grief that you're going through, and someone's sitting there telling you that it's your fault.
right.
That is
It's
so
yeah.
hard. And they're like, it's because you just don't believe.
Yeah.
And
crazy.
I remember getting like letters in the mail like, if you just believe, if you have more faith, she will be healed.
Yep, me too. It's dumb.
I'm
Dumb,
like,
dumb, dumb. I'm not that
okay, I mean, I
powerful.
guess I'll try that.
Like, God has
I just, I can't imagine what would like make somebody say that. I understand what where they're coming from. I understand the biblical scriptures but that's not
yes,
how it works.
right. Yeah. And that's still something we struggle with. Like, we go to this really charismatic church and I like it, but when they come to the healing part, like Haley always looks at me and she's like, it's like Jesus Revolution again, where the guy tries to be cool and all that stuff. She's like, I don't like it because I do believe there is healing, but not every time. And it's not like a show,
Yes.
you know? So I have a really
There's not a
hard time.
formula for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
God
God's not a
decides.
genie.
God decides. We don't have the formula for it.
Right. And it's hard sometimes because they'll be
Yeah.
like, somebody has like their left shoulder hurts. And of course, somebody's going to be like, yeah, that's me. And
Of course,
I don't know.
yeah.
I don't know what I believe
Somebody in
about it.
here's back hurts. I know it.
Yes,
I
they
just
get
know
that one.
somebody's got back pain.
Yeah.
Like, yes, yes. And I do believe God can heal, but he doesn't always. Like, anyways, that's a whole podcast just about
That's a whole
Yeah,
nother
that's
Healing.
episode.
that's a whole other episode anyways. Well, we can wrap it on up. Do you, Mark, do you want to close us in prayer?
Sure, yes.
Okay.
Lord, I'd like to thank you so much for this incredible community and all of these friends that just reached out to support us through this whole very difficult time. And Lord, I'd like to thank you for bringing Tina into my life. You really delivered on all of your promises to me for my future. And I'm so, so grateful. And I pray that for anybody listening who does have desire to get married again, that you would bring them their person and help them distinguish and decipher whether the person is the person. Because, gosh, choosing the wrong person is just terrible. So anyways, Lord, I'd like to thank you so much for my healing that you did.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to thank you so much for sparing my life. And even though the thought of seeing Lacey was pretty exciting for a while, I thank you that I'm still here for my children and to be with Tina, because this is just such a great joy. And I just hope that this is an encouragement to some people that you can find somebody else, and you can be deeply in love again and feel all the joy that you once knew over again. And I pray that you would just encourage anybody listening who is feeling lonely or afraid about their future, that you've got it in your hands. As people kept telling me that you have our life in your hands. I thank you so much for your perfect plans and for, not letting my way be the way that things go. I'm grateful for that, because your ways are above our ways and your thoughts are above our thoughts. And so help us to trust in you, Lord. And I just thank you for the incredible blessing of saving my life. Mm-hmm. And I'm so grateful for all the people that you put it in their heart to reach out and help and send nice messages, or just all of the things, just to be a friend and be somebody that cares for somebody they don't know. And I pray all these things in Jesus' name. Thank you. Amen.
Amen. Well, if you like this podcast, give it a little bing, 5 stars on Apple Podcasts, wherever you listen. And I wanted to mention again, a lot of you have joined us on our Widows Walking Challenge. There are 2 groups. There's one where you would like to walk 5,000 steps a day, and one where you would like to walk 10,000 steps a day. It's not too late to join. I'll put the links in the description. It's just been really fun. Today's the 2nd day, and we just encourage each other. And I know it encouraged me. I didn't really want to walk, but I was like, oh, I got to be accountable. And so I got on the treadmill and did a couple miles. And so it's just a fun place to encourage each other. So if you guys want to join that, it's not too late. And join us on Facebook, Instagram, all the places. And we'll see you again next time. All
God
right.
bless you all. Thank you.
Bye.